first new terrestrial TV station since 1982 will start broadcasting in 1997. Naturally, to receive the programs on a TV, it must be tuned in, and the householder could do that job, but it gets more complicated when a video recorder is involved. To explain, we have to go back 30 or more years, when colour television was being planned.
It's a television! It's in colour!
Our guys are coming, have present.
Oh, let's smash it.
Here. It's only a 21-inch screen, they're coming 23. You get a 23-inch screen.
At that time, a 4-channel system was proposed. BBC Two started in 1967, followed by the colour transmissions of BBC One and ITV. Then, in 1982, Channel 4 completed the set. The video recorder arrived in the 1980s. Most homes now have one. Picture and sound from the tape is turned into a signal that's like a TV broadcast, which then enters the television through the aerial socket. And that's the big problem. Often the VCR is tuned to the frequency that will be used by the new TV station. If we ignored the problem, both Channel 5 and video playback may not be viewable because the signals would interfere with each other. Satellite receivers are also becoming common, and they deliver the signal to the TV in the same way. So the video recorder and the satellite receiver, if there is one, must be adjusted to make room for Channel 5. Well, why choose to broadcast Channel 5 on the same frequency as the video recorder? Why not select a different frequency so that interference doesn't occur? Well, to answer that, I need to give you some background information. TV tuning is usually described in terms of channels. The channels used for broadcasting in the UK stretch from 21 to 68. One channel carries one TV station. For example, the channels transmitted from Crystal Palace in South London are 23 for ITV, 26 for BBC One, 30 for Channel 4, and 33 for BBC Two. But there are many transmitters spread across the UK, each with its own set of channels. Bluebell Hill, for example, broadcasts on 40, 43, 46, and 65 for BBC One, ITV, BBC Two, and Channel 4. When all the channels from all the stations across the UK are added, you can see that every one is in use, except for those between 34 and 39. Historically, they were used for other non-television broadcasts. The space is now clear for Channel 5 to slot into the gap without interfering with the other 4 TV stations anywhere in the UK. An excellent plan, if only there were no VCRs. But for many years, manufacturers have exploited the gap for their own purposes. Let's take an example of a typical household with a TV and a video recorder. We've already looked at the channels in the London area, so we'll stay with that example. Other parts of the country might be slightly different. From the UHF aerial are the 4 TV channels which go into the VCR and then emerge, but with the video recorder signal added, which may be on channel 36. With the video recorder on 36 and channel 5 on 37, the interference I mentioned earlier will result. This is a typical symptom when 2 programs are on the same channel, although the severity and the exact nature of the interference will depend on how close the signals are and on the make of the equipment. Well, if the hot product of the 80s was the video recorder, of course in the 90s, it's the satellite receiver. If there's only a satellite receiver, the problem is no worse than for a video recorder. There are the 4 TV programs, the additional signal, this time from the receiver, and Channel 5. We handle the issue in the same way. Where it gets more tricky is when there's a VCR as well. We have to make sure none of the Channel 5, VCR or satellite receiver signals interferes with each other. Well, those are the problems. Here were the solutions, and to give us some practical demonstrations of retuning is Ian Taylor from Thor. Ian, where exactly do we start?
I think we need to start back on the first set you looked at over there.
Okay.
Okay.
Ian, we saw this set patterning just now, and as I said, it's because we have 2 signals on the same channel. The 2 signals must be the VCR, which we have connected at the back here, and also Channel 5, but they're not broadcasting yet, so what on earth is going on here?
Okay. Well, that's right. Channel 5 won't start live broadcasts until the early part of 1997, except for a few test transmissions before that date. And obviously the retuners are going to need that signal to see the interference, to get the interaction. So they're provided with their own portable Channel 5 transmitter, in effect. This is a test signal generator. I'll just uncouple this from the TV at the moment, just to show you it.
fairly simple and compact little piece of equipment, is it?
It is, it's very simple and it's very light. There are only 5 buttons on it. One is the on button. I say on button because it doesn't switch it off. If you need to switch it off, you have to press 1 and 4 on the other side, and that will switch it off. There are some connections on here. There's a DC power input socket. This is for a power charger adapter, which is also provided with the generator, which is used to recharge the rechargeable batteries inside the unit. Now the batteries will last for about 8 hours intermittent use, but you'll need to recharge for 4 hours continuously before then at least. However, you can leave it on overnight if you need to go out or anything. When you're charging it, the little red light comes on to tell you that you're actually charging it, and when the unit is powered on, there's a little green light there. That goes out after about 10 minutes when it automatically powers down to save the batteries.
Right.
Okay, on the other side of the unit are the test signals. There are 4 of them. Number 1 is the channel 5 test signal. 2, 3 and 4 are the 3 auxiliary test signals, which are used to produce the channels which you retune the VCR to overcome the interference with. Okay.
And as far as connecting it up, then this has to go before the VCR, obviously,
Yes?
rather than between the VCR and the TV.
That's correct, yes. The unit is connected to the aerial socket, to the aerial lead, which can only go in one socket on here, and then the VCR lead is connected into the other socket, so actually put in between the two.
Right.
Okay. And then simply powered on. As you can see at this moment we have the interference there, and that's caused by the interaction between the signal output from this unit and the signal from the VCR.
So if the VCR goes off, there
You
we
can
are.
see it immediately.
Channel 5 test transmission.
That's
Perfect.
right.
Now, as far as actually retuning goes, that's fairly simple, is it, on a set of this age and design?
Yes, this is one of the earlier sets, and it uses a system called manual tuning. You need to access the tuning compartment to actually adjust that. If, for instance, say, let's see, yes, channel 6 on this one is requiring retuning, then what you need to do is adjust the control, which is number 6, which is used to adjust the preset above. Simply by turning the control, you actually go through the entire tuning band, and you can then preset any one of the stations which you're tuning for to that particular button. What you need to do when you tune is to make sure you get a clear signal. One of the key things to look for is the colour. Make sure you've got clear colour and it's not sort of speckly like that, as clear as you can get it. Also no patterning. And also listen for the sound, that's a key element as well. Make sure the sound is nice and clear.
Right.
Once you've done that, the tuning is complete. And that's simply how you tune it. And you can do that for any of the buttons.
Right. As you said, this is one of the earlier models that people might come across. What about on something a bit more modern? Is that a bit more complicated?
It's not more complicated, it's just different. And it's all based on the same principle. What we can do now is have a look at the next tuning method, which is search tuning. I want to have a look on the set over here.
Okay, lead on. So, not more complicated, you promise, but different. Different how?
Well, whereas the previous set used manual tuning, this set uses search tuning, which is an electronic system of tuning. In fact, it can all be done from the remote control hand unit, using just 4 or 5 of the buttons. The ones we need on this particular TV are the menu, the cursor buttons, left and right, up and down, and the execute and store button in the middle, and that's all. You don't need any of the buttons. Okay, we've got a generator connected to it. That's on. We'll tune to the channel 5 test signal from there, and let's say we'll use preset number 5. We'll go into that particular. Okay, that's empty, so we can actually tune for that. Right, the first thing you need to do, if we just get down so we can see the screen, is press the menu button, and that gives you an on-screen menu with some options. The one we want in this case is preset, and you get that by just pressing the cursor down button repeatedly until the on-screen cursor is opposite that option. When you've done that, you just press the execute button, and that gives you the preset on-screen menu. And we want auto search, so we press cursor down once to get to that, and then we simply press execute again to take it into that particular menu. And the option we want here is search down and up. 2 presses on the cursor down, and this time we need to look at the left and right cursors to actually search. So if we press the right hand cursor, we see that searching down there, and immediately we come to channel 5.
And that's the signal it's found. Is that now stored?
No, to store that we need to actually go down to the store option.
Right.
So press the cursor down twice, and then we're going to store it to program or preset 05 in this case. We put in 05 using the numeric numbers on the keypad, and then simply press execute or store button in the middle of the cursor buttons. And that red flash tells you it's actually stored that into memory. Once you've done that, just press menu repeatedly and takes you back to the normal screen. And that's it all tuning. That's as simple as that to do the
Simple
tuning.
and very fast as well, as you say, all done from the handset. So the TV is now tuned in to the right signal. Does that mean then that with the VCR, if we now turn this on, well, is there going to be any interference or not?
Well, we know for a fact there is on this one, but there may not be on some VCRs. Once you've actually tuned it in, you press the VCR on and you may have no problems at all, in which case there's nothing further you need to do.
But in this case, clearly there's a problem.
You can see the problem there. So basically what's happening is the signal output from the VCR is too close to that of the channel 5 signal. So we need to move it further away so they're not interfering with each other. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is to have a new channel number 2 tuned to. And we use the generator for this. As we said before, we have the preset number 1 on here, which gives you the channel 5 signal. Then we have auxiliary signals 2, 3 and 4. So if we select number 2 to tune to, and switch the VCR off so that it's not actually going to have any effect at all on it, and then we go to the VCR channel on the TV, and we simply go through exactly what we've done before, tuning in that particular station. So
we're choosing button 0 for VCR on this.
That is the VCR channel on the TV, yeah. Right. Okay, so if we go into menu again, down to preset, into auto search, and we go into the search and down again as we did before. Okay, and we're looking for a different type of signal. As you can see on here it says VCR setup. In the later generators it won't say that, it'll just say test signal 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. It doesn't really matter which one you tune to, as long as you can get the one you selected and it's nice and clear. And as you can see there, it's nice and clear, that's good.
Again, you don't have to do any fine tuning, that's already taken care of.
Okay, on this particular set you can actually stop there at this moment in time before going any further, and you can actually then switch the VCR on to see whether there's actually going to be any interference with that at all. Okay, if we power that on now and we get the lines again, we know that's not going to be any good. So we power the VCR, it's nice and clear. If there have been lines at that time, then all we've got to do is simply select another one of the auxiliaries and go through exactly the same until we find one that's nice and clear as with here. What I'll do now is I'll just store this, and we'll store that to the VCR channel number 0. Okay, and that's nice and tuned in, and that's clear. Okay, you may think that's all you need to do.
Well, I thought it was. No?
No.
What next?
Okay, we've actually reset the TV to a different signal output from the generator. What we need now is to tune the VCR into that.
Ah, yes, of course.
Okay, and we need to adjust the modulator, the RF modulator, which is on the back of the VCR. So I'll just turn that around so I can show you how we do that. Now, we've already inserted in the VCR a test tape, and it's just a test tape of a known signal. In this one, it's one with colour bars on, so we actually know we've actually got that signal. So the first thing we need to do when we start is to switch off the signal from the generator so it doesn't interfere with our setup. So we're just looking at now the VCR channel, and we're going to tune the VCR into it. Switch the VCR on, press play, and we're now playing back the test tape, which should give us the colour bars. So we're going to...
So now we need to search for that signal of the colour bars.
Okay, we're not going to adjust the set in this case, we're going to adjust the output from the VCR, and we adjust the output by moving a small screw adjuster on the back of the VCR, which is the RF channel adjust screw. Using a small trimmer tool, which the retuners will be supplied with, you just insert it into that hole and very carefully and slowly just turn it. It doesn't turn very far, very small turns, until you see the signal, which you can recognise because you know what is on the tape. And as we said, it's colour bars, so we know that's the output from the VCR. tune that so you've got a nice clear picture, no patterning, and good clear colour.
You have a good steady hand to do that, don't you?
You do, but it's quite easy to do, and as you can see I did it without too much difficulty at all. Once you've done that, then you need to switch the generator back on again. Select channel 5 by pressing number 1 and make sure that the signal is nice and clear.
Right, so there's no interference.
No interference
anywhere
at all. And if we go back to the preset 5, you'll see that the channel 5 signal is also nice and clear, and we've cured the interference between the two.
Right, again, very simple, straightforward, as long as you're following the correct order of things logically through.
If you didn't manage on the first signal output, number 2, then you try number 3 and number 4. And it may well be that in some cases that trying all 3 of those would result in the fact that you couldn't cure it. In which case you would then fit the channel 5 signal blocker. And that basically cuts out the channel 5 signal so that the customer, the viewer, wouldn't have any interference problems at all.
Right. Okay, well, you've dealt with that one very smartly and smoothly, but of course we've got a third set over there, so I know you've got something else to demonstrate. Let's move on and then you can go through your paces again.
Okay.
So Ian, we've seen manual tuning and search tuning. What have we got this time?
Okay, this television uses probably the simplest tuning method, which is direct channel input. And it's an electronic system, as search was. And again, it can all be done via the hand unit. We've got the channel 5 test signal generator connected to this one. And so if we go through the tuning sequence by tuning in number 5 to that, the first thing you do is press the menu button. And that gives you the on-screen menu. Yeah, a little bit
small. I can't read it from here.
A little bit small. And you can see you've got a series of options there. The one that we want is preset, so we press the cursor down key until the on-screen cursor is opposite that, and then we press the OK button. And again we have another series of options there, and the one we want is manual program preset. Move the cursor down opposite that, go too far, move it back up again, yeah. And again press OK.
Oh, what does all this mean here?
Yeah, it looks complicated, but it's quite straightforward. As you can see, we're on number 5, that's the red cursor again, and that's the preset that we want to tune. And the channel number is there, which is 53, and that's the only things we're interested in. There is other information here, which is the sound system, which is PAL-I, and whether search is on or off. You've also got indications here whether it's BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV. You can actually input that and put your own name, like My Channel or whatever. And the AFT, which is the automatic frequency control, which is always on. Okay, to adjust that, we just simply step the cursor across by highlighting what we want to adjust, and that is the first digit we need to adjust. To change it, we simply input the numbers we want, 3, 7, press OK, and there you have it, channel 5 tuned in. We just step that across. We don't need to put any of this in at this moment. Press the menu button, and it's as simple as that.
And that's all tuned in?
It's tuned in. There's nothing more you need to do.
Wonderful. And in this case, of course, we have a VCR as well, and if there is interference, we follow the same procedure that you demonstrated earlier?
Exactly the same as before. There's no difference at all. The only difference being that when you come to setting the tuning on the TV, you directly input the channel numbers you want, rather than search them. That's the only difference.
However, of course, this is slightly more complicated. We have a satellite receiver up here. Is that going to be very complicated, or certainly different?
It's a little bit more complicated, but it's not that much more complicated that it can't be handled easily. The first thing you need to do when you have 2 receivers, a satellite and a video, and you have interference, is to decide which one.
Well, how do we do that?
All right. First of all, you need to switch both on with the channel 5 signal connected to them, and you'll see the interference. And then to determine which one is causing the interference with the channel 5 signal, you simply switch off one of the units. If the interference disappears when you've switched it off, then it's that unit. If it doesn't disappear, it stays there, then it's obviously the other one.
Yes,
so if you
quite logical, really.
Yeah.
So if it is the satellite receiver that's causing the interference, what's the next step?
Okay, it can be adjusted exactly the same as the VCR. If I just turn this around, I'll show you the back of the unit, and you'll see on the back of the unit there's a channel adjust screw, exactly the same as on a VCR, and again you simply take a trimming tool, insert it into the channel adjust screw as you did on the VCR, and turn that to adjust it. There is no difference at all.
And again, the same procedure applies. You can use the auxiliary panels as well, and if none of those works, then the last resort is to fit the signal blocker. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. The retuner will have gone through the whole procedure before he comes to the stage of fitting the blocker. We'll try the auxiliary 2, 3 and 4 test signals, and if you've still got interference at that time, then you can fit this blocker.
And that's the blocker.
That is the actual channel 5
And
blocker.
where exactly is it going to fit then?
That fits in the aerial lead, between the aerial lead and the first receiver. That's either the VCR or the satellite receiver.
Will then be no interference.
That's right.
Fitted.
That's right. That's the interference, and it eliminates channel 5.
Right. Well, thank you very much for coming in to explain the problems, but more importantly, the solutions. Ian, thanks very much, but don't go away. We'll need you again in just a moment. Knowledge of retuning, of course, is only one part of the job. Customer care is another very important part. We followed retuner James Carpenter to see how it should be done.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to do as I go along. First I'll select the new frequency on my headset. Now I'll tune the 8 to the new frequency. And finally I'll tune the video recorder to the new frequency.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow all that.
Don't worry, I'll take you through it again. But BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV, and channel 4. All exactly as they were before. On button 5, you can see that it's tuned to channel 5, ready for the next broadcast. Okay. And finally, you can still use your video recorder on channel 8. Is everything okay for you?
Yeah, it's fine. It's exactly what we before. It's great.
Alright. Would you mind signing my worksheet just to confirm that I've
Yeah.
sorted it? Right, and I hope that you enjoy the programs when they start. Oh, if you've got any problems concerning Channel 5, don't hesitate to give them a call. It's a free call. Oh, by the way, do you know if Mrs. Smith is in next door? I called, but there was an answer.
I think I saw in the garden earlier. I mean, I think that should pop it back and, I was preparing to call out as well.
Super, I'll just pop round with it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Pleasure.
Let's have a look at that again, so I can explain a bit more about it. Although you have a uniform and ID card, some people will need extra confirmation. The security number in the information pack will help, and there is a helpline number and password system for further reassurance. Tell the householder the reason for your call, and give her the helpline number if she needs more detail. If there's just a TV in the house, you don't have to do anything. Just explain there won't be any interference when broadcasting starts, and get a signature on the call completion sheet. James was invited into this house, but if it's not a convenient time for you to retune the equipment, give the householder a retuning appointment card and leave. Although you aren't there to carry out the safety check, you may notice a problem with plugs and wiring. If anything does look suspect, don't carry on. Without taking any risk to yourself, make the equipment safe and explain your concerns to the householder. Then attach a warning label. If possible, get the householder to move the ornaments. You can offer help if it's needed. Always check the performance of the equipment with the householder before you start retuning. Your handbook explains how to tune most TVs, but if the model isn't in the book, ring the technical helpline for advice. The connection should be aerial to channel 5 generator, channel 5 generator to the VCR, and VCR to TV. And never tune the VCR channel to a different program number unless the householder agrees first. Before you leave the house, make sure the customer is happy with the way the equipment is set up.
That visit went very well. But we asked James to do the next call as badly as we could. See how many mistakes we can spot. Remember, we're looking for poor customer relations and hazardous situations.
Come to Retune TV, where is it? This one? Yeah. Get, go on, go on. See Daisy.
And who are you?
Hello. You having a lie down?
Who are you and what do you want?
I'm from Channel 5. I've come to retune your TV. You were sent a pack.
No, I've not received anything.
That's not my fault.
Well, have you got an ID or anything? Because I don't know you from Adam.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. It's on here somewhere. Where is it? Hang on. Shan't keep you. Ah. There you go. Satisfied?
Yeah, okay. Do you have to do it now?
Yeah, it'll only take a few minutes. I'm just about to retune button 5.
Oh no, that's the video recorder one.
Not anymore, love. I'm going to put that on number 6. Where's my test tape there? Where did I put that? Come on, where is it? Oh, can I borrow this a minute?
Yeah, if you must.
Oh.
I'm going to go and get dressed.
No. There you go, love. Sorted. You haven't got another TV upstairs, have you?
No, I haven't. You're not going to leave it like that, are you?
I'm not touching that thing again. It's a death trap. Your husband can do it when he comes home from work.
Oh, direct inquiries. I'd like the telephone number, please, for Channel 5 television. Well, London, of course.
Well, a pretty poor showing there. Let's have a look at it again. And Ian, would you take us through some of the more obvious mistakes?
Come to Retune TV, where is it? This one? Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it's much funnier that way around, but that's not the point really, is it? I mean, the terrible first impression.
It certainly was. The guy had a really scruffy appearance. He was very impolite.
Yes, he barged his way into the house.
Absolutely. And he shouldn't have gone in the house anyway when there just appeared to be a child present.
Oh, right, because there should be a responsible adult to let him in.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so really bad first impressions. Let's see how he gets on next.
Okay.
Get go on, go on.
worse on this one.
I think the dog's doing a better job than the Retune at the moment. That dog's a star.
Absolutely.
But also, I mean, when he was moving the set, I mean,
He should have moved the ornaments before he even attempted to move the set.
of course,
yeah.
I think he broke something on the set anyway, but he was going to disguise that.
Even before that, he should have checked the performance on the set and got the customer to agree the quality of the pictures.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, I can't wait to see more. This is great fun. However terrible it is, it's most enjoyable.
And who are you?
Well, you having a lie down?
Is that just a light-hearted moment, or does it have a more serious import than that?
Well, it looks funny, but it is actually quite a very dangerous comment to make that, and it could lead to allegations of harassment.
Really?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So that has to be guarded against, obviously.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Who are you and what do you want?
I'm from Channel 5. I've come to retune your TV. You were sent a pack.
No, I've not received anything.
Well, that's not my fault.
Well, have you got an idea or anything? Because I don't know you from Adam.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. It's in here somewhere. Where is it? Hang on. Shan't keep you. Ah. There you go. Satisfied?
Yeah, okay. Do you have to do it now?
Yeah, it'll only take a few minutes. I'm just about to retune button 5.
Oh no, that's the video recorder one.
Not anymore, love. I'm going to put that on number 6. Where's my test tape there? Where did I put that? Come on. Can I borrow this a minute?
Well, a whole catalogue of disasters there. Do you want to start?
Well, they've got to start somewhere. He didn't explain the purpose of the visit adequately.
No.
He didn't show his ID at all when he went in.
No, until he was practically forced to, although he was extremely reluctant.
Right, he didn't follow the security number procedure.
Ah, yes, of course.
That's checking the number on the letter the customer had received previously against the one he's going to show.
Yeah. And what did you at Channel 5? He seemed absolutely determined to use that, regardless of what the customer wanted.
Yeah, if he didn't check the use of button 5, even though it was occupied, he just assumed that was where he could reach in Channel 5 too.
Right.
And of course he shouldn't have moved the VCR channel on the preview without the customer's permission.
Right.
What did he get right?
Not much. Not yet. Let's see what else he's got up his sleeve. Oh, Ian, where was the test tape? Wasn't there, was it?
I didn't see it.
No.
He probably had it with him, but he certainly didn't use it.
Right. And then what about that mains lead?
Well, he obviously noticed that. He spotted that for sure, you could tell, but
Yeah.
he didn't do anything about it. He certainly didn't tell the customer.
Of course, he should have done.
Absolutely.
Right.
There you go, love. Sorted. You haven't got another TV up, have you?
No, I haven't. You're not going to leave it like that, are you?
Not touching that thing again. It's the death trap. You know what you can do when it comes down to work.
Well, you left without demonstrating the TV was working.
Yeah.
He didn't show the customer that the adjustments he made were satisfactory.
Yeah, I shouldn't think they were satisfactory anyway. He probably didn't want to show us his handy work. He also didn't put the TV back where it came from, had he?
He didn't at all. In fact, he refused when the customer asked him to put it back and send it in. It's in front of the customer.
Yeah, he made a patronising comment about the husband. And of course, the last thing to do was get a signature,
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
You could have got to say the job satisfactory, but I'm sure she wouldn't sign.
No, in fact, let's find out exactly what her reaction to that was.
Oh, direct inquiries. I'd like the telephone number, please, for Channel 5 television. For London, please.
So there we are, we've introduced you to Channel 5 and talked about the problems that occur when video recorders and satellite receivers are used. But most importantly, we've also described ways of curing the problems. Obviously, it's impossible to cover all aspects of the Retuner's job in a short program like this, but most queries are answered on the training course. You have comprehensive reference materials, and there is a technical support line available for those unforeseen questions that crop up from time to time. So I think you can be very confident of success.